They're meeting over the debt ceiling. That was McCarthy who was talking about his meeting with Biden. They're going to discuss the debt limit. And this this is going to be one of the first big tests of this Republican unity that we've heard so much about. That we've seen a lot of really good things after the fight, after they had the so-called the House leadership fight, and whether or not the unity is really going to be tested here. McCarthy says we're not going to default. That's not even going to come to fruition until sometime in June. So he's saying, look, we have some time here. He's meeting with Biden this week to discuss raising this limit, but they also want to control. I don't know why they're using the word control. It really needs to be just the word reduce or eliminate entirely any kind of government spending at all whatsoever. Because we just had this issue where we're now sending a whole bunch of other stuff to Ukraine, and that's, how much does that cost? Because it's not free. So he says that Democrats are wanting to raise the debt ceiling, which is true. Janet Yellen has been out there saying as much. They said that Republicans have also said there's not going to be any cuts to Social Security, no cuts to Medicare either. That's all off the table. And McCarthy said that Republicans are willing to strengthen any kind of senior programs, whether it's retirement, health benefits. I know it sounds a little bit more entitlement-y than a lot of us are comfortable with, I think. However, we've had a borrowing limit of $31.4 trillion earlier this month. That if you hit your limit on your credit card, you're not going to go out and tell your credit card company to go ahead and we need to increase my limit. I just don't know. There's nothing that Congress can lay on the table that would necessitate it. Now, here's the other thing. Actually, I was going to get into this. Kay makes a very good point on this issue. So we know that a recession is looming. I actually think we're in it now. But, whatever. Come on. For all intents and purposes, we're in the middle of it now. We're going to seriously pretend that we haven't started it. They keep saying it's going to be a mild recession. You don't believe that? You don't believe it's mild, Kane? No. You think it's just going to be a big hardcore recession?
If we're looking at just the inflation number alone, that skyrocketed over 8% during this administration, it was like between 1% and 2% with Trump.
Yeah.
That alone, to me, just proves that we're in somewhat of a recession at the moment.
Well, the Democrats have been trying to figure out a way to offload responsibility for this. Because their weakest point is the economy. Well, it's not just the economy. Let's be real. It's immigration and crime and spending and the economy. There's a lot of things that they're really you can pin on them, particularly the economy. When Biden was first 2.5 months in office, we already saw a major $1 trillion spending package. It's insane. So that obviously helped kickstart the way that the economy is reacting now with inflation and now barreling towards a recession. And this coming on the back of having government spending for the lockdown, because the government essentially enacted economic eminent domain, which froze the ability of people to actually generate an income. Then you had the CDC on top of it. You all remember this. Y'all lived through it. Issued the moratorium on leases, which was subsequently reversed. But the bottom line is that this on the heels of what we were coming out of, and we were actually riding that spiral. We were correcting as we were coming out of the pandemic, and then we immediately punched ourselves in the jimmies by passing that huge spending package. So now here we are we're 2 spending packages later, 3 maybe now, because I know they've been wanting to get this other stuff going. It's a big issue. So they say on the cusp of a mild recession. Dude, we're all in it. We are in it. But the bottom line, as I said, Democrats have been looking to offload responsibility for this. They do not want to assume any kind of culpability for this at all whatsoever. They keep insisting that it's because of Russia, or it's because of climate change, or it's because of, give me how many excuses have they thrown at this and said it's due to anything but their own actions and policies as it relates to the economy. So they're looking to offload this. What better way to do it than looking at Republicans fighting and resisting increasing the debt ceiling, and then trying to convince everybody with horrifically stupid and just really bad reasoning, trying to convince the American public at large that the reason that we are in a recession, because it's unavoidable at this point, I think the severity is the only thing that's being debated, is because of the debt ceiling and Republicans refusing to just go along with Democrats' demands. And they're already setting up the structure for this. They want to offload this onto Republicans so that they can embolden themselves going into 2024. They have got to figure out a way to unyoke themselves from this. So that's how they're looking to do it. So they're really, particularly with their base, and when you look at the media as well, the way the media runs defense for them, Democrats are actually in a pretty good seat going into this. I'm not saying I like it. I'm just telling you this is what you're up against. Now, when you couple that with what we've seen, and here's what the other thing I want to get into, because this made me mad. The national sales tax discussion. So Chuck Schumer goes out, and it's not just him. There are a number of senators, and you also had Hakeem Jeffries talking about this, saying, "Oh, well, the national sales tax that Republicans are wanting to push. This is just so, absolutely irresponsible. On top of everything else, that this is the only time they've ever acknowledged that the economy is bad. Can you believe that Republicans want to add a national sales tax on top of this? I mean, look how bad the economy is," without admitting that they made it bad.